minutes. It's day 12 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia says its military will hold its fire this morning and open humanitarian corridors to allow civilians to evacuate. That after violating 2 ceasefire attempts over the weekend. But Ukraine's deputy prime minister rejected that offer as unacceptable and proposed her own routes, saying Ukrainians will travel west and not to Belarus or to Russia. Russian forces violated a temporary ceasefire in the port city of Mariupol yesterday, hampering evacuations with a barrage of shelling. Meanwhile, as Russian forces advance to the edge of Kiev, Ukrainians are taking defensive measures to slow the attack. Many citizens are still trapped in the city, with some heading to its center to prepare for more violence. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Reinaldo-Agl has the latest.
Russian troops this morning are on the doorstep of Kiev, so Ukrainians are escaping from the bombardment of the suburbs to go deeper into the heart of the city. And even though they're fleeing, Russian troops are firing on them. Ukrainians say at least 4 escaping civilians, including a family, were killed in this attack. Ukrainian troops and volunteers are helping civilians cross under a downed bridge, walking across the only slippery planks to safety. Russians have taken over this suburb, which is on the northern edge of Kiev. They are bombarding it heavily. The Ukrainians blew up this bridge in order to slow down the Russian advance, but it has also made it extremely difficult for people to evacuate these areas that are hotly contested as Russian forces try and consolidate their positions and the Ukrainians try to keep them on that side of the river. Those who make it across the river are in shock. I was bombed, this woman says. We were trying to escape and we were bombed while walking. But in areas Russia does now control, Ukrainians aren't submitting to their will, pouring into the streets, shouting down Russian occupiers, laying down in front of their vehicles. And in one case of extreme bravery and balance, riding on top of one, waving Ukrainian flag. The fighting spirit is proudly on display. We visited a soup kitchen, volunteers cooking donated food for 500 people a day. Not far away, closer to the front, 2 new army recruits got married. A drone fitted to drop explosives dropped rose petals instead. And how are you feeling right now?
I'm happy, but my heart is crying because of the food.
While down in the shelters where Ukrainians are spending long and lonely nights, a young girl put on a show, singing the theme from Frozen, and lifted worried souls.
Reinaldo-Agl reporting from the Ukrainian capital. Let's head west now to Poland. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber is there along the border of Ukraine. She's been speaking with the refugees who have been pouring in over the past few days. Ellison, what can you tell us?
Hey, Mika, this is the 6th border crossing refugee welcome center we have been to. Inside here, there are 2,000 cots. Outside, even more people. When we were inside walking through, 2,000 cots, that's the official number. But as we looked, you would often see 3, 4 people sitting on one cot. At times, it looked like family members. One person was sleeping while the other sort of kept watch, and then they would rotate out. Most of the people who come here, they don't necessarily have family or friends in Poland. They don't know where they're going to go next, but here they have transportation, buses that will take them to other cities in Poland or even to other countries like Germany, going to Berlin, or Czech Republic, going to Prague. Every person here, they all have come from different parts of Ukraine, many of them from eastern Ukraine, in some of the areas that are under the heaviest barrage of bullets, of attack. And they all have unique stories to tell, and we have been privileged to hear so many of them.
More than 1.5 million refugees have fled Ukraine since Russia invaded.
But I can't go back because there is no place to go back anymore.
The UN says nearly half of the people fleeing Ukraine are children.
I have my mother, have a little sister, dog, and father says that we must go to Poland because it's too dangerous to stay in Ukraine.
People are fleeing from every corner of Ukraine, pouring into neighboring countries by the thousands, the largest number crossing into Poland, according to the UN Refugee Agency.
What are your friends saying to you? I mean, what is it like right now to be a teenager in Ukraine?
Well, like they really hate Russians a lot. Like they came, like Russians, they came to occupy another country. Like they are really angry with Russia, and of course they are also scared.
Using a directive established after the Balkan Wars, the European Union unanimously agreed to offer temporary protection to Ukrainian refugees and third country nationals with protected status or permanent residency in Ukraine. It gives Ukrainian refugees access to housing, education, other social welfare programs. They don't have to file individual asylum claims, and it can be extended up to 3 years. Ludmila believes Ukraine will win this fight, but at 83, she fears this is the last she'll see of her beloved Ukraine.
But it's so painful in my heart.
We've been to 6 crossings on the Polish-Ukrainian border and have seen the best of humanity. Kindness, bravery.
I brought my daughter to a safe place, to Czech Republic, and my parents, and now I'm returning back to help my husband and my friends in this fight.
8-year-old Angelina is trying to stay warm as her mother figures out where they'll go next. They just made it to Poland. Her brother and father stayed in Ukraine to fight.
You're very brave. Did you know
Ти
you were
дуже
so
смілива.
brave?
Ти знаєш, що ти дуже смілива? Yes, I am.
What do you want other kids who are
Що ти
watching
хочеш? I want them not to be afraid and not to worry. I want them to listen to their parents because their parents love them more than anyone else.
I hear it. When you look at this area, Mika, you see lines of people waiting to get food, most of it donated by groups. We met one local business, a Polish business. They were making pizzas here the other day. They'd made 400 in about half of a day. They'd made 800 by the end of the day, all of it free. They'd funded themselves to come here and help. But you look at these people, and when you talk to them, so many people, this is the first time in quite a few days they've been able to have a warm meal. This, getting on the chaotic, it is confusing, it is overwhelming, but still people are grateful to have some sort of an option and to live in Poland. Mika.
Allison Barber, NBC's Allison Barber.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.